Good evening, everyone. I'm Shama Rahman, Marketing Manager for the New York Times live conversation series, Times Talks. I'm not the guest, but for 20 years, Times Talks has paired New York Times journalists with the brightest and boldest creative minds from the fields of music, film, theater, art, social justice, politics, and literature. I'm delighted to welcome you to an exciting evening with boundary-breaking guitarist, singer, and songwriter Joan Jett. Who will discuss her new documentary, Bad Reputation, which traces her historic journey from teenage dreamer to rock and roll legend. Moderating tonight's evening is Jody Redoran, Associate Managing Editor for Audience, who has been a reporter and editor at the New York Times since 1998 and is a longtime newsroom innovator and collaborative leader. Please join me in giving a very warm welcome to Joan Jett and Jody Redoran.
Hi, everybody.
Hey, you guys look great out there.
Hey, Jody.
How you doing?
I'm doing good.
Okay, good. Thank you very much for being here. Fearless. Feral. An inspiration. Trailblazer. Elvis plus estrogen. Seductive, jagged, rebellious, feminist, heroine, and of course, Queen of Rock. These are some of the things. These are some of the names that people call you.
Yeah.
I wonder, you know, you've been at this a while. People have been talking about you a lot. I wonder what some of your favorite and least favorite adjectives or phrases that you've ever been called are. And I'm thinking if you were somehow on another planet where nobody knew you, or you're in one of these, you know, get to know you sessions and you had to describe yourself, what would you say?
That's kind of a tall order. What was the first part? Let's just start with
What are your favorites and least favorite things that people call you?
I don't think I really have a favorite thing somebody calls me or a least favorite. I mean, I've been called pretty nasty things in my life, you know, and so I think all of them are probably my least favorite just because of the energy it carries, you know. It's just, you know, it's a very bad feeling. So, I mean, the good ones are so wide-ranging, and these words carry different meaning for different people. So, you know, they all have power in them. So it's hard for me to choose one.
I feel
really
like
is.
trailblazer is one of the ones I see the most, hear the most. Mm-hmm. What does that mean to you? What does it mean that you're blazing trails?
Maybe doing something, following a path that has not really been walked yet or fully explored.
And you're still doing that?
I'm still on the road, yeah.
Yeah.
Still
breaking the path. Okay, good. So, as I think most people in this crowd know, you have this new documentary that's just come out. We're going to play a few clips. Let's cue the first clip right now. Or we can watch a black screen, is also good.
You know, get spit on. I mean, I just felt like I couldn't leave the stage. You know, I'd go off afterwards and cry, just because I didn't get it. And then I'd feel better after I'd, you know, cried a little bit, going, why? What's with that? People need to be so hateful, because you're playing rock and roll, you know? Some of the other girls got tired of it, and I don't blame them. It was just that, to me, felt like that's what I had to do. Tell me I can't do something, and you'll make sure I'm going to be doing it.
That's the line. Tell me something. Tell me I can't do something, and you'll be sure I'm going to do it. Tell us about that. How did that happen? How did that become, you know, you said also in a different interview that your parents told you could be anything you want.
Yes.
And I want to know, I'm interested, how do you raise a rock and roll trailblazer? What was the, key, like, I mean, were you, they were supportive, so you weren't rebelling against them. Like,
No.
What's the magic here? How did you get that in your head?
I was just a regular kid. I was not any different than anybody else. It just happened that that phase I was in, you know, at 13 and wanting to play the guitar, just happened to stick, and I happened to be in the right place at the right time. My family moved to California. I was able to find other girls to play guitar with. You know, I mean, it could have been anything. It was like if that phase, if we had moved, if any couple of months had been different, it could have been a completely different life. I was just a regular kid like everybody else.
But people kept telling you through the early stages of your career, you can't do this, you can't do that, and you kept saying, that's the thing I'm going to do.
Well, yes, of course. Be careful, parents, all you parents out there. When you tell your kids something, especially at a young age, they believe you. You know, and my parents told me at a very young age, probably 5, someplace around there, that I could be anything that I wanted to be in life. And I totally believed them. And I wanted to be an astronaut, an archaeologist, and a wide variety of things. I went through a whole bunch of stuff. And as I got,
There's still time for the archaeology.
Oh, yeah. So as I headed towards puberty, I started getting into, it was an acting class and band class and that sort of stuff. And so I saw Cabaret and wanted to be an actress, that movie just kind of really, the music was great, the acting was great. It was very campy and sort of was tying into this club that I was reading about. It was out in Hollywood. My family still lived on the East Coast, and so it was just sort of this place that played British glitter music, which is a kind of style that American kids weren't really exposed to. It was sort of like, I'm trying to think of the one hit somebody might have had here. Rock and Roll Part 2 by Gary Glitter was, or by the Glitter Band was a hit here, and that's just a bunch of drums and hey stuff. But
So how did you know about it? How did you know about all this stuff?
Well, I read about it in a rock magazine, Cream or Circus, one of those magazines. Just had a little blurb about this club where it was for teenagers, disco for teenagers, and the kids would get really dressed up, wild glitter, and you know, it was like the beginning, I guess, of sort of the gender fluidity, and guys, sort of David Bowie would go there, you know. A lot of the English bands would come and hang out when they came to Los Angeles, and it was just a great style of music that I really resonated with, and so that's sort of...
You mentioned Cabaret, and in the movie you talk about how Liza Minnelli was a particular inspiration for your sort of look and approach, and it's kind of uncanny when, as soon as it's revealed, you're like, oh, of course. But can you talk a little bit about how the Joan Jett persona, the look, kind of came about and how you developed that?
It's you know, I think it was evolution. As I look at pictures of myself, you know, it was a sort of a slow evolution. It seems like it was fast, but and it probably was. This all happened in a very condensed time period. But I was very influenced by the music I was listening to, so I, would chop my hair off to look like Bowie or Suzi Quatro, or once I had moved to Los Angeles. And really, it was just sort of a mash of various, I guess, images I saw in popular culture. I'm pretty shy. I'm a very shy person, and I think a lot of it was is armor. Really, to be frank, it's armor. I am very sensitive. I am very emotional, and I think I wear all that right on my sleeve. So it's really, I think it's definitely protection. It was a way to sort of armor myself. As I reflect, at the time, I didn't realize that. I was just grabbing things that I liked the way I looked in it. And, eventually I decided to dye my hair. That was not right away. I left my hair brown for several months.
I want to talk about the movie a little bit.
Jet black, it all eventually
I get
came around.
Black Hearts.
Yeah, but that was
later. Yeah. Well, let's talk about how you picked the name Jet. Was that your mother's original name, or where did that name come from?
That was
Your
what
real
I
name
told
is-
people. Yes.
That was what you told people.
That's what I told
Well,
people.
what are you going to tell us? We want the truth.
Well, yeah, the truth
This is
is
hard
that
journalism
was not my mother's. I told people it was my mother's maiden name, but it wasn't. And I said, look in the phone book. There's lots of Jets with 2 T's. And there are. There's a lot of Jets with 2 T's if you look. So nobody really did any deeper reconnaissance than that. So
But because your original name is Joan Marie Larkin, is that
Yes.
right? So how'd you come up with Jet with 2 T's?
it was sort of influenced by this club I was hanging out. You know, a lot of the bands had names that sort of played off the sort of Gary Glitter, like for instance.
So you had the alliteration
So I was
going.
just sort of just trying to see what went with J, if anything, and it just kind of popped out. And the double T was just because of the 4 letters in Joan, 4 letters in Jet.
It's very poetic.
I mean, there wasn't that much thinking, I think, that went into it. You know, it was just you just did it. You know.
Seems to have worked out. Yeah, sounds good. So I want to talk about the movie, which
Okay.
I guess was in the making for quite a number of years, right? Something like.
It's been happening for like, I don't know, 6 years or so, something like that. I can't be exactly sure.
We won't.
You mean the
The
documentary?
making of it took you a number of years.
Yes.
And you've got all these people from your life, Iggy Pop, Debbie Harry, Miley Cyrus, all saying kind of incredibly nice things about you, which must be kind of cool. But in another interview with Entertainment Weekly, you said it's not easy to watch yourself over and over again. And I wonder if you could talk about that experience. What's it been like to watch this movie get made, to hear what these people are saying about you? Did something surprise you that you saw in yourself on the screen? Was there something that you were like, oh, that's some part of me I don't quite recognize, or I don't remember, or something like that?
Well, I find it very strange to watch yourself on screen. It's discomforting. You know, it's throws you a little off balance. You know, but that's okay. You know, I have to figure out why am I uncomfortable. You know, it's just some people don't like looking at themselves all day long, you know. And I just there's a limit, you know. Once I see what I need to see, I feel like I don't have to keep watching. But for me, I learn a lot, you know, because we were not involved in the day-to-day process. This was a documentary in the true sense, where they just filmed everything and put it together, and we had no input, you know. It was. And I like that. So it gave us a chance to really sort of see from a different perspective what was going on.
Great.
For me.
Let's play the next clip.
Actually was looking for record deals. So Kenny would send the tapes in. We sent it to all the labels, all the majors, all the minors. It was 23 labels. And we got back 23 rejection letters, all saying, you need a song search, there are no songs here. Maybe if she loses the guitar. These people heard 5 songs, 4 of which were top 20 hits. That can't be a song search. That's, you don't have ears.
We asked for no money.
Just put out the record. I know it had something to do with my image, the Runaways, the girl. I think Kenny thought it was going to be a lot easier than it ultimately turned out to be.
So it's so amazing to see that letter with those song titles at the top, and know what happened later. And
There were 23 of them, remember?
Yeah. Well, this
Not just
resonated
one.
for me because I have a file of rejection letters from the Norwalk Hour and the New London Day. They all rejected me for internships before I got hired at the New York Times. And so in case anyone wants to make a biopic about me, I do have the file. I just wanted to put that out there. But I want you to talk more about what it was really about, because it wasn't about the songs. And what you think it was really about, expand on what you said in the film. And then, so what happened was, of course, you and Kenny produced the music yourselves. And is that really what you need to do? Is that the sort of message to a sort of young artist or entrepreneur, that you got to kind of own it and do it yourself? You can't count on the institutions to understand?
Well, I think, yeah, you shouldn't count on them, because if you want your own vision to be pure, I mean, really, it was a blessing in disguise not getting signed. We wanted all that. We wanted the help the promotion, all that stuff that went along with signing with a major. And you know, when you see those letters, I mean, it really tells you, I mean, they missed 5 hits.
Right.
And so either they don't listen to what they get, they can't hear the hits, like I said, or they've already made a decision, which is what I think. They already made a decision. We don't want, you know, we're not signing this chick, and let's just figure out a way to blow her off. Because all the other Runaways apparently got a record deal out of when the band broke up, but I didn't. So, you know, it's just that was the image of what a girl. I was not the all-American girl. You know, I was a scary girl. I was a threatening girl.
Right.
You know, and not because I was mean or anything. I don't know why people felt threatened. Just that strength scares people. It's weird, you know, it really is.
What you've said that in a little bit of a different way another time, which is that it was about sex, right? That they didn't want girls to have access to rock and roll because it was dripping with sex.
Absolutely. Rock and roll, by its very nature, is sexual. So if a girl's gonna play guitar or drums, it's sexual. I mean, you know, listen, you know, to sort of dismiss teenage girls' thoughts of, you know, coming of age and exploring their sexuality and what it means. I mean, it's a confusing enough time as a teenager to try to figure all this out, and then to try that people are uncomfortable in America talking about sex in general, but women talking about sex, but then teenage girls talking about sex, it's very uncomfortable. Right. And so people just don't want to hear about it at all. And, you know, so I think that really is what a lot of the barriers were. They don't want women to own that. You know, if you're playing rock and roll, you're being sexual, and I don't know why that's threatening. I've not figured that part out yet. Like, you'll have a bunch of people that'll be totally into it, but it's for the music. The sex is background, man.
Yeah.
It's so secondary.
It's interesting to think about how much has changed and how little has changed since that time. We just had an article in the New York Times recently about a big survey they did of teenage girls and boys. And one of the really amazing things was a lot of the girls, they talked about all the opportunities that were open to them that a generation before hadn't been. They were encouraged to take science and to do sports and to be leaders. But they also said that they thought ultimately they were judged by their looks. That was kind of the main thing. So, and I feel like the last year or two, as we've been thinking about this and these issues have been so present, there's so much change. I thought I'm gonna get fired.
A Freudian slip?
Totally not. No, okay, anyway. There's no one here from the New York Times, right? Anyway, right, what I was saying is there's also a lot of focus on the things that people cannot do or have not done yet.
Right.
Like be president, for example. And you know, there are more CEOs on the Fortune 500 list named John than there are women. And I just wonder, and you know, we just had last week, we had this incredible visual with the Senate Judiciary Committee hearings of what the strictures are on, as one of my colleagues put it, testifying while female. I guess I just would love you to riff on what the last year has felt like for you, kind of watching the change and the things that haven't changed, and you know, where women really stand now. What trails have we yet to blaze? Where are we?
I'll tell you, it feels like we haven't really come that far since the Runaways. You know, in 40 years since I started, it's a lot of it feels, and I'm not dismissing them because there absolutely has been progress, and women have definitely taken a lot of steps forward. But I feel like it's still a lot of window dressing and a lot of lip service to women. And until there are women in the positions of power, and I'm talking about real power, the CEOs who have the money that decides where the money goes. This is where we allocate. That's the power. And until there's more women up there, things aren't going to change. It's going to stay, you know, incremental, and change is incremental anyway. Even when you get big change, it's still, you know, little. But I really think it's so important for women to be in those real power positions, which ultimately has to do with the dollars. And, you know, but once that happens, I think more women, obviously, in positions of real import makes a big difference, because we have a different view of the way things work.
How do women empower, how do women hold power differently, do you think?
Oh, I can't really speak to all that. I just think that, in general, women's tacks are different, you know. Strategies may be different than how a man might go at a problem.
Sure.
And, you know, I'd have to take a specific example to show you what I mean, but, I mean, any woman in here kind of knows what I mean, and, you know, it's we just sort of approach things a little differently.
Let's play the rest of this clip.
My mom was an outrageous feminist. She used to drive the car. My father sat where everybody else's mother sat. So when I met Joan and heard about the Runaways, I never really thought it was like weird or groundbreaking until I tried to promote her, and I ran into these walls, these brick walls. An interviewer who once said to her, "When you're playing on stage, do you feel like a man or a woman?" And I was like, what?
So, all your fans know, of course, that was Kenny Laguna, who's not only your who's not only your manager, producer, and partner for 39 years, right? But you've called him your best friend. You've talked about his family as your family. Someone called you Burns and Allen in reverse. And there was a journalist who described the relationship as, quote, a platonic ideal of a bickering old married couple sans the sex. Which is to say, a bickering old married couple.
Yeah.
I have to say, it's not immediately obvious, the connection here and the intent. And so I want you to just talk about this extraordinary partnership. Was it love at first sight?
Yeah.
What is it that, I mean, and not, you know, you could have a successful partnership without all that other stuff. Tell us about this relationship, because it's extraordinary and it's a little surprising.
Yeah, I mean, it is definitely a strange relationship, not in all the best ways. When I met Kenny, we met for a project a songwriting project. The Runaways had signed to do a movie, and then we broke up, but I was still signed to the contract and didn't want to get sued or something for not fulfilling it, so I needed to write 6 songs in 3 days. And my manager at the time, Toby Mamus, knew Kenny. I think he had tried to get Kenny to work on one of the last Runaways albums to produce it, which he blew off. So I guess when this next opportunity came for him to come and meet me, Kenny's wife, Meryl Laguna, had been reading about me in some of the English press and stuff, and kind of urged Kenny to come out and meet with me. So he did, and I mean, I can't speak for him, but I mean, I just had good energy from him right off the bat. You know, it's good vibes, and I just, I can't explain it more than that. Right away, I felt comfortable with him. And over the next 3 days, there was another gentleman with us, a guy named Richie, who was the 3rd songwriting partner. And, but I didn't hit it off as well with him. You know, we were friendly, but, you know, it just wasn't that sort of connection. It was a deeper connection with Kenny and I. And so, you know, as we continued to work together and write, eventually Richie left this songwriting partnership, and, you know, we continued. It's just been really great.
I mean, this is longer than most marriages in the music business,
Yeah, and I think a lot of it is we don't compete, you know. We are really proud of each other. If Kenny gets accolades for something, I mean, it's great. You know, I guess a lot of people have issues with that kind of credit and this and that. It's like we're just sort of very supportive of each other, and I don't know. I mean, I can only imagine that's got something to do with it.
It was Kenny's daughter's idea to do this movie, right? When it came up, were you immediately like, yes, sure, let's do it?
Well, she'd kind of been exploring some way to get the story out there, and when we were doing some live filming of some of our songs, and had done a little bit of like backstage stuff, and I guess she was kind of excited about whatever they caught on film, and said, would you mind if we tried to do, you know, some documentary stuff, follow you around? And I said, no problem, you know, just go for it. And so she just, you know, she had obviously working with some great people, and just ran with the whole ball. And so we didn't know where it was going to go, that it was going to tell really my whole story from the beginning, but how do you get, you know, all this information in there? And there was a lot of stuff. I mean, there's still several things we didn't even touch on at all.
There's a sequel coming.
Maybe.
Just, by the way, not to start a fight with you and Kenny, but that is not the answer Kenny gave when I asked him the same question backstage. He said, Joan says no to everything, and usually I have to say, he'll say, do you want to hear the idea, or you just want to say no first?
Yeah, that's
just so you know. But you can argue with him about that later.
No, that's pretty true. I tend to, you know, maybe
start with no.
Maybe it depends, you know. Yeah, it depends. Well, I'm not just a yes person. That's what I'm not. It's not just like yes to everything. It's like,
right.
Let me hear what it is. So I'll say no until I hear the details.
So this is not the first time we've been in the same place, because in 2004, in early 2004, when I was covering the Howard Dean campaign, you were campaigning with him, and we both were on the crazy flight overnight from the Iowa caucus, where he did the famous scream, to to New Hampshire, where he tried to save his campaign, and Kenny and crew were handing out CDs to the reporters in the back of the plane, which was really nice, because we were all trying to both update our stories and sleep. But I'm interested in what's happened to you politically kind of since then. Have you done other campaigns? Are you doing campaigns this cycle? I know you're also active in PETA, and you've also done all these performances with the troops. Like, how do you pick what causes, how do you pick particularly candidates? When to get involved with a candidate? What's the reason to go for that or not? And how are you feeling about it with the midterms coming up right now?
About Canada?
Candidates working for a political... Well, how do you feel about Canada? Or Canada, whatever you want to talk about, really.
The Howard Dean thing was a unique situation. I've been very politically aware and engaged since, age 12 or 13, when they were teaching civics in school. And I remember it was the Nixon-McGovern election that was happening when I was in school. That was the big thing. And I remember, how we'd have to, they were making the kids do mock campaigning and all that kind of stuff to try to teach us. But so I've voted in every election since I've turned 18. So I think it's really an important thing to get out there and make your voice heard, because, we forget that these people work for us, and it's easy to say and it feels good, they work for us, but they do. And, we pay their salaries and all. So I just feel if you have the urge to speak to your representatives, that you should absolutely do it. I don't really tend to do that publicly, it's not for any reason or not, it's just my choices tend to be, I don't know, I don't, the word private's not right. I mean, I'll discuss anything. It's not like you know, I'm definitely working with candidates, helping some people raise some money, but you know, that's about it.
Okay. So you talked a little earlier about rock and roll and sex and sexuality a little bit, and I want to talk to you about sexuality and about, you know, you've gotten a lot of. You've both been sort of hailed as a complete inspiration for gays and bisexuals, transgender people, but you've also gotten a lot of criticism for not coming out earlier or for not being more vocal about it, and your reactions have been really interesting. I mean, sometimes you're like, look, I'm totally out, I have this tattoo, and other times you're like, why is it any of your business? Why do you care? So I have to ask you the same question everyone else asks. You know, I mean, it's like, I wonder why you did start speaking out about it, why you don't like to sometimes, where you think you are at this moment as...
I haven't changed any of my answers really at all. You know, it's, I just think, you know, to me it's, what are we talking about? Are we talking about sex? Because that seems to be what the question really is. People are interested about what kind of sex you have. They're not really interested about, you know, where you fall. Identity. That seems to be why, you know, why is it so, I mean, you know, it's like, I'm not even sure what kind of question I'm trying to answer here. What's the question?
I mean, I guess I wonder why you started speaking about your sexuality when you did, and why you don't speak about it more when you're...
I speak about it in my music all the time, and I mean, I'm just not somebody that goes, hey man, I went out this weekend and I fucked so-and-so, and then I went and I made out, and here I am doing it. That's not my speed. That's what I don't do that, you know? I'm private. You want to know what I do, then when you're with me, you'll know. And it's just, you know, I mean, I sing about what I've sung about since the Runaways days. If people can speak English and listen and you know, believe what you're hearing and say, you know, I mean, I do talk about it, but I'm also not going to be pushed. I don't like being pushed. You're trying to tell me, you know what I mean? You're trying to say, oh, no, you must declare. It's been done, okay? So can we move on? You know, it's like, how long are we going to keep belaboring it?
So for me, one of the experiences of watching the movie was when it, you know, keeps cutting back, obviously, to not just you on stage, but your current interview, and the consistency of your very signature, strong, deep voice is such a powerful experience watching the movie. And you know, some people have described it as craggy or other things, and it just yeah. I feel like women's voices, the question of women's voices is such a part of this whole thing we were talking about earlier about where power comes from and women's strength. You know, there's all these people with, you know, women with high voices, or sort of, you know, that's a sign of weakness. I don't know. Were you born talking like this,
no.
Or I mean,
no. Earlier in the film, or I don't know where it is in the film. They have some spots where I must have been 17 or 18 in the Runaways, and when I heard it at first, I thought, who's that little kid? I mean, my voice is way, way high. It's just from years of, you know, singing, I guess. Over the years, it sort of deepened. It was not like this, you know, in the 80s. I'd say some, you know, just gradual deepening. And, you know, if you're in a setting like this, it's going to sound a little rougher than if I've been up for a while and, you know, and adrenaline's flowing, and then the voice will raise up a little bit. It won't be down in that register, you know, so it kind of comes up a little bit when it needs to.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, relatedly, there was Glenn Kenny has, in one of his columns about you, said he has one unanswered question, so I figured I'd ask it for him, which is, how did a woman raised in Philadelphia, Maryland, and Los Angeles end up with what sounds like a Brooklyn accent? which we love.
I think it's kind of Maryland-y. I like the, it's like a Maryland, which was almost a Southern drawl, too. There was like a Maryland, Philly, Southern thing. My accent, when I first went to California, I really liked it. It was kind of a strange accent. And now I don't know what I have, because it's East Coast, I guess? I mean,
nobody
really
would
know.
kick you out of Brooklyn, I don't think.
But you can't figure out what region, right?
Right,
Yeah.
right. One of the things you talked about writing the new song for the movie, you said, sometimes you need to say to yourself, am I still enjoying what I'm doing? I need to find the fire again.
Yeah.
And I'd love you to talk a little about that, because I think it's true for all of us, right?
Yeah,
you've been doing the
it's true
same
for
thing a
all of
long time, and yet you kind of continually relight the fire. So how do you do that? How do you know? How do you?
First, I guess you have to really reassess for real, you know. Do I like what I'm doing? Am I having fun? Am I having fun? All the reasons, whatever. I mean, work isn't always fun. I don't mean to sound like that, you know. But that you have to be able to put yourself fully into whatever it is you're doing, no matter what kind of job it is, I think. So really just actually taking stock of how lucky and blessed I am really wakes my ass up real quick. Because, you know, my life is a dream come true. It really is. Even with all, you know, the tough stuff, I wouldn't trade any of it for, you know, for this. You know, it's really a blessing to be able to connect with people and feel like you're, you know, the music means so much to people in so many different ways and gets them through difficult things and is with them in the most joyous times. And so it's magic, you know, and I have to, so when I go back and I think about that, it takes me about 10 seconds to go, are you kidding me? And then, you know, then you're right back there, because really it's so great.
You said you don't realize sometimes when you're in moments how special they are until they're gone, which is kind of what you were just talking about. I wonder about, can you just share some of those moments? Maybe they came back from making the film or watching the film, or just in general. What are some of those special moments that you sort of didn't realize till later?
Well, a lot of times it's the energy that you feel while you're in the moment. You know, even if it's just looking out on a stage with 80,000 people singing, you know, all singing I Love Rock and Roll, or all singing Yeah, oh yeah, to Touch Me. And, you know, just recognizing, wow, you know, that all these people are singing our music. And it's overwhelming to even put it into your mind that they'd be thinking about you. I can't put it in that context. It's too weird. But those kind of things, or you know, I mean, I've met so many great people, you know, but I can't really say one is more amazing than the other, because as soon as I say that, then I'll remember something else.
Right.
But I mean, you know, just the fact that I've gotten to be able to live a lot of a dream come true is.
How are the fans different in some of the places? You're huge in Japan, you're huge in Scandinavia.
Well, that was, I mean, I don't know what it is now, but I mean, you know, in the Runaways, it was like that, and so.
What were the differences in the reactions in like those two places versus the U.S.?
I'll tell you, it was all girls. The audiences were all girls.
In both places?
Yes, mostly, yeah. And you know, the majority of the girls, the audience that we could see, and that was different. That was really new.
Because in America, that wasn't
right.
How it was.
Yeah, certainly with the Runaway stuff, and so that was, you know, different, unique, and you know, not the same vibe that we had here in the States. But you know, we were just in Europe this summer to play a couple of festivals, and I'll tell you, we had really awesome crowds and a great cross section of people. We were young girls, teenage girls, to you know, older 50, 60-year-olds easily, and a cross section of all sorts of styles, you know, punk rockers, you know, straight up rock and rollers. It was really it was like necessary. I have no, because it's been a while since we'd been there, so I have no sense of what people were gonna, how we were gonna be received. You know, I didn't know if our politics were gonna be reflected in how we were received, and nothing. It was straight up rock and roll the whole time. So, you know, that was very cool to see.
What's been interesting for me, since I was attached to you in this event, as the publicity went out, to hear people in my life, I expected my peers, everybody was very excited. It's like, you know, you were a hero of ours in high school. But as I told you, my 23-year-old woman who works for me immediately was like, the Runaways are so cool. You know, how does she know about the Runaways? And I'm interested to talk to you about the Runaways specifically, because obviously in the balance of your life and your career, this was a small chapter, and you know, your solo career at Blackhearts is totally longer and overshadowed it. But it's so clear in the film that this was so core and important, and you were so devastated by the breakup. What was it about that band and that time that was so powerful and important to you, even looking back now?
Yeah, well, we were a kick-ass rock and roll band. I mean, we really were good, you know, and that's the thing that gets mostly lost in all the noise about the Runaways and the, you know, whatever that they want to talk about the Runaways. It's at the root, we are a great band, and luckily you can find some stuff online here and there, even if it's just audio of Runaway stuff, so you can hear that we could really play. We were good. What was the rest of the question?
Well, just why was, I mean, it feels like it's just still such a lasting meaning for you.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
In some ways, more than...
Well, because, I mean, I was told girls can't play rock and roll, and to me, the Runaways were rock and roll, and I just think that it, a very formative time in my life, and I just think it represents my launching pad into the world. It was my school, you know. It was I can't tell you why it was so important to me. It was just my baby, you know.
Definitely. So we're going to take audience questions in a few minutes. I'm going to ask one more question, but you should get your questions ready. There are going to be microphones that will come to you. So if you have a question, I don't know, stand up, dance around, wave your hands or something, and somebody will find you. We really cannot see you, so whatever, we'll work it out. You said in another interview with Billboard, I think you said if you were asked what advice would you give to your younger self, it was to keep more photos and video. And I wonder.
Yeah, but I didn't mean it like that. You know, I mean, people would say, "Oh, I think, you know, crazy." I mean, stuff like just stage stuff. We have no records of any of that. You know, like just
to build a career. You mean just to be ready?
No, just for my own self, just so I can look at pictures of the Runaways, or look at us on the road, or look just more things. You know, there's no scrapbook to go, oh, check it out. You know, 1976, 1977. I mean, it'd be really cool to have a lot of that stuff.
Yeah. Well,
just basic, you know, things. You know, things that fans would collect.
Right.
I want to collect that. At the time, though, you know.
You're right.
I don't need it now.
Well, now you've got the movie put it together for you. All right, let's see what you guys have to say. Okay, I can see some hands. Right here in the front row with the Joan Jett shirt.
1 second.
Hi.
Let's get her a
1 second.
microphone. And then we can go straight behind her. There's another question. Yeah, you can go now.
Hey, first, I quickly want to say happy birthday. Belated.
Thank you.
No way!
wanna-
Are you kidding me?
Not today.
birthday?
It is the past.
And I want to say thank you for being such an inspiration to me my whole life. I've been following you since I was a teenager. I have some awesome pictures, autographs. You've always been so gracious to stop, to talk to your fans, and it means so much to us. I just want to tell you thank you very much.
Thank you.
So if
What's
you
your
want
name?
to do pictures today, I'm here.
What's
Helene.
Okay, so I
Elaine.
forgot that I was told to say that, no, you cannot come up and hug Joan. No, we're not going to do selfies.
No.
And that questions do end in a question mark, so let's not have like testicles.
Okay, we
Even
tried.
though that was really
your name?
sweet.
Helene. Helene.
Helene.
Yeah.
Thank you, Helene.
And my question was, I've also been tattooed by Michelle, and I want to know what's your favorite tattoo and why?
What's my favorite?
Tattoo and why?
It was literally the next question I was going to ask. So great job. I was going to ask the first, actually, but we'll go with favorite.
Probably this one.
She knew
The
you
one
were
on
gonna
my
say that.
chest.
She just wanted to see.
It's just
When
representative
did you
of
get
a
it?
sort of, I'm not even sure, a universal energy that I feel like I'm channeling from beyond someplace. You asked.
Can we keep the mic over here? We have another. We're just right behind right there, and then we'll go to that
one?
woman in the striped shirt in the middle. So maybe find her.
I want to get this little girl here.
Oh, where? And then the little girl.
Second
again.
row,
Sure.
right here.
Okay. But right here first.
Hi, my name is Celia, and
What is it?
Celia,
Celia.
yes. You have been my idol since I was 15 years old. I had like all your posters on my wall. I think you're fantastic, and my question to you is, do you think you'll ever retire from the rock and roll life?
Do I ever think I'll get tired of the rock and roll?
No, retire.
Retire.
No, please don't.
I could slow down a little bit. You know, it'd be nice to have a couple of days off. But yeah, I don't know that I could ever retire. I don't think I could physically do it, you know?
So give your mic to the young lady here, and then let's go striped shirt, and then we'll go here. Yeah.
Thank-
What exactly inspired you to write the song Cherry Bomb?
Say that again?
Cherry bomb.
What inspired you to write the song Cherry Bomb?
Well, how old are you?
11? No. I'm 11.
11. All right.
She can handle it.
You're getting close.
You don't have to answer that. Let me
But Cherry Bomb, do you want me to answer it?
Yeah.
I mean, Cherry Bomb was really just us trying to express ourselves as 16 and 17-year-old girls, just trying to talk about our lives. And it wasn't just me, because remember, it was 5 of us, so we kind of had to combine our lives and make it one person, if you know what I mean. It's sort of like we combine our experiences to talk about our lives in Cherry Bomb. And sort of and a little tongue-in-cheek as well, if you understand it. Yeah.
Hi, Joan. I'm Jessica. I'm right here.
Hi.
I was wondering, what's your favorite vegetarian dish? I don't know why that's funny, but...
I make a mean Beyond Burger.
What's in it?
It's plant-based. I don't know. It's some pea
I think it's
protein.
beets.
Pardon?
I think there's beets in it, Beyond Burgers.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but I make a good one of those. I like Indian food, chana masala, that kind of stuff.
Great. Okay, so. All right, go ahead, sure. And then we'll go to this little girl over here after that.
All right, this
Boy,
is
sorry.
like a dream. Hi, I'm Sonny. I'm Sonny. All right. I seen you back from Glorious Result of Misspent Youth. Well, my buddy Don, who's out here, we've been following you for years. It's my wife's birthday this week. This is her birthday gift to come see you. You're amazing. You made a quote that I tell my nieces, all right, that are younger. You said, beat to your own drum. All right, I'll never forget that. And I always tell them that. And I love you. And please don't stop playing. Please don't. Please don't.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'll tell you, it's very important to beat to your own drum, because everybody wants to tell you how to live your life, right? Everyone's got a comment on what you should be doing with your life and how you should live it. And you know, if you're sitting around with some friends going, you know, I was thinking about maybe doing fantasy. And instead of them going, yeah, you know, that sounds really cool, why don't you try it? The reaction tends to be, what, are you out of your mind? Why would you do something like that? You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
People tend to try to stop our dreams, and I don't know what that's about, human nature-wise. I mean, why we don't just say, yeah, give it a shot. So I'm just saying, everybody's gonna try to stop it, no matter what it is. You know, it doesn't have to be being a rock and roller. So just fight for your dream. Don't let other people dictate what your life's gonna be. I know it sounds corny and, you know, cliche, but it's true.
The microphone over here.
I have a mic.
Oh, you have one already?
Oh.
No, in the
No,
front row?
Wave.
Hi, sorry. I have a mic.
Okay, you go, and then you'll go after that. But stick with
Okay. Hi, Joan. I'm Bonnie. I think I speak for everyone to say, like, thank you. You have been inspiration to, like, girls and women everywhere. I mean, since I was like born, you know, I was raised with your music since like I could talk, and like growing up, there's like, even though I wasn't from that era. I mean, I didn't exist when any of your when you first released your music.
Right.
But like, even like growing up later, like around 2000s, there still is like, you don't really see as much representation. We're still left with like Joan Jett and the Runaways and the Blackhearts. Like that's still what we hold on to, because I think you. Sorry. Sorry, I don't know if I'd ever get a chance to say anything like that again, so I'm sorry, but.
It's okay. Don't worry about it.
I'm sorry. But yeah, so, yeah, everyone, like, you're still something that it changes everyone, and that's, your music is timeless, generations forever and ever. But
thank you.
I was asking, I know you said that, you know, because your parents told you could do anything and you really believed that. Around, you know, when you're really trying to go for it with Kenny Laguna, you got those rejection letters. Around this journey, did you ever feel like doubting yourself, or did you ever feel like maybe this isn't it? And if you did, how did you pick yourself up, or like how did you overcome that? Yeah.
Well, I definitely knew that, no, I always knew it was it. I always knew I was right, they were wrong. Seriously, you know, it's like, in America, you know, in the rock and roll world, you're gonna tell me a girl can't play rock and roll? Give me a fucking break. I mean, those excuses don't fly. You know, you cannot tell women that they can't do anything, or anybody. You know, I mean, we're all capable of doing what we want to do, and it's just to put these sort of boundaries on things is just very kind of crazy when you really think about it. But they're self-imposed, so, you know. Sorry.
Hi.
Hi.
My name's Jerry, and first I want to say that I've grown up listening to your music through my dad and his friends. And you're one of the reasons that I turned vegetarian. And I have two quick questions. One, what was some of your favorite times in the Runaways? And two, I knew AC Slade played bass in Joan Jett, so what was some of your favorite times with him?
Okay, what was it?
The first one was, what was your favorite time with the Runaways, or favorite memory?
Oh. I can't pick one memory. There was two. We had 3.5 years of a crazy, wonderful dream that was, every week was filled with gigs and stuff going on. It was really an intense time. So I really can't, it's so hard to pick one thing. You know, we played with tons of great bands and went to a lot of really interesting places and did some things we can't talk about here. And what was the second part?
I know AC Slade played bass in our self-titled band, Joan Jett and the Blackhearts.
Right.
Was at least one of your favorite memories with him?
What was
a favorite memory with him?
Going to Afghanistan.
Can you talk a little bit, Joan, about playing for the troops
Thank
in
you.
Afghanistan and Bosnia and other places? You've done quite a bit of it. What inspired you to do that? Why do you keep doing it? How does it fit with your politics?
Well, first of all, you know, I guess I'm a person who can relate to the military personally, but I hate war. I think all of us do, and realize that we, have to protect ourselves or be able to. But for me, it really, after the Runaways broke up, I was really lost, and I was very depressed and very, partying too much. And I was gonna kill myself, I was gonna wind up doing something stupid. And so I thought, maybe, let's join a branch of the military. I'll learn something, travel, meet people, just something. I was really considering this for a couple of weeks. And then I met Kenny, and I didn't have to go that route. But it made me recognize all those people are exactly like you, Joan, so don't ever sort of write a whole section of people off because they're in the military. They're all just rock and rollers too. So, I just wanted to, then when we were on the road, and we would just start to do things informally, just like in the early 80s when we would have those hits. We'd be in Germany, and we'd be played on the Armed Forces Radio Network. And so we'd hear it from there, and then we'd go over to the base and just say hi to the guys, because, not that many times that they get a chance to talk to a band, so we'd go over and talk. And then somehow that evolved into doing a small show at a base in Germany, and eventually we connected with the USO and started doing it through those channels. But we went through some pretty intense things.
Gentleman in the Joan Jett shirt, yeah? Does anyone not like Joan Jett?
What music do you listen to now?
Oh, good question.
What music should I be listening to?
I'll tell you, for the most part, I listen to stuff I grew up on, once in a while, something new sneaks in, like the new Faya record on Blackheart, which I think they're a great band. But that's the toughest probably question for me, is what am I listening to now? Because to be honest, I don't have a lot of new stuff. I just sort of wait for it to come to me, I can't get out the way I used to look at bands and stuff. So it's a different flow of information, Sorry.
This guy, yeah, sure. You got to, yes. Yes. I don't know. Yeah, one's coming.
Hey, John, how are you? The first concert I ever went to was in Dublin in the St. Francis Xavier Hall in 1982. For £5, it was you. You wore a tight blue jumpsuit. And my question is, I have the ticket here. Could you sign it for me?
You have a big what?
I have the ticket from that concert here.
1982 concert.
Sure.
Thank you.
Okay. Yes, over there. Yes.
So, it's two parts. One is, have you ever played with Lizzie Hale of Hailstorm? And would you consider? And the other is that because we've admired you, my husband and I, since we've grown up, and we have cherished your belt that we've had since 1989, if you would sign your belt.
Oh my God. How'd you get her belt?
I could wear it.
Amazing. I remember that.
It's cool. Do you remember the belt?
Yeah.
Can my husband bring it up?
What do you want me to do with it?
Could you sign it? We have a silver pen.
Sure.
Go for it.
Oh my God. All right.
There you go.
Well, here's the ticket. This is going to get ridiculous, but that is an authentic 1982 ticket. Let's go to this lady right in the middle. Yes, only because it's hard to get to the microphone from there. Yeah. And then is there someone way in the back? Oh, yeah, that hand way in the back will be next. That guy waving in the back.
Hello. Oh. Hi. Do you find that you write better songs when you're pissed off?
I don't know if I write better songs, but I think maybe the idea comes through stronger. It doesn't mean it's better. It just means you might have more information early on. It's still a lot of work, but yeah, you can get some definitely motivated by extreme emotions like that. Certainly.
And then all the way in the back, do we have a microphone back there? The guy who was really waving his hand a minute ago?
The guy with the two hands up. You, yes.
Oh yeah, her, sure. That's
I thought that's who you were talking
well,
about.
I wasn't, but that's fine. Well, let's this guy go first and then that person who I...
I'm not picking anybody, it's you.
Okay. And I don't think we can do the whole signing thing. I feel like that's gonna...
I don't have anything for you to sign.
Great, go for it. I mean, I'll be happy to sign things later, but I think Joan is not signed up for that.
Okay. Joan, not to take anything away from what you've accomplished, you know, solo and with the Black Hearts and with the Runaways, but a few years ago when Nirvana was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, they asked you to step in and perform for Kurt Cobain. And I was just wondering if you could talk about that a little bit, what that was like, because it was a brilliant choice. You did a great job, and I can't think of anything more punk rock than that. So thank you.
Oh, man. That was amazing. It was petrifying at first, you know, the thought of doing that. First of all, just for the history's sake and what Nirvana means to people and what Kurt means to people, with that sort of, you know, history, you know, that's a scary undertaking. But, you know, the band asked me, and so I felt if I'm going to fuck it up, I mean, these are the people to fuck it up with, you know. But, you know, funny enough, I felt I was strangely calm that night, which is not normal, you know. I mean, I would, not that I would be really scared before I went out, but, you know, there would be a certain anxiety, but I felt strangely calm, so I don't know what that was about. But we did a couple of rehearsals, and I learned, I think, about 8 songs. But Smells Like Teen Spirit was the one that I was doing that night. And then after the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, we all went to a little club, little small 150-seat club, and everyone, we all played all the songs we learned. So I played 6 or 8. St. Vincent played, you know, 4 or whatever she learned. Lord played a couple. I think she came. And then there's one, and Kim from Sonic Youth played, and there were some other people that came up. And I mean, it was a Nirvana gig for an hour and a half. It was really amazing to turn around and look and see these guys grinning ear to ear. It was really wild and special. What a special night. That was, you could definitely chalk that up as one of those most amazing experiences, probably. You know, it's got to be up there in the top 5 for sure. You know.
I think this is going to be our last question. Yes, way in the back with the 2 hands up. That's you. Great.
He doesn't know it's him.
Which one was 2 hands up? Okay.
2 hands up, yeah. There we go.
Sorry. Can you stand up, please?
Stand up. Hi, my name's Joanne, and I just want to first say that I really appreciate what you've accomplished. We grew up at the same time. I'm your age. And my mom wouldn't buy me an electric guitar. So I was on the opposite end of it. So I appreciate what you've been able to do. I would have loved to have been the one doing it. But anyhow, I've seen you a couple of different times in the 80s and a couple of years ago. And I was lucky enough to see you on Broadway, which is something you didn't touch on. And I'm wondering...
Can you speak up a little bit?
Sure. I was able to see you on Broadway. And that's something that hasn't been touched on at all. I was hoping it would be in the documentary. But I'm wondering, what was that experience like for you? And are there other creative areas you haven't explored that you think you might like to?
Yeah, you know, it's funny you bring that up. That was the whole Broadway thing was, we didn't touch on that at all with the documentary, and it was not really for any reason, because it was a great experience for me. I loved it. It was, the year was 2000, so I did it from November, or no, I guess previews were in September. So September to May of the following year, 2001, I did it. I played Columbia, and I was bald. So if you see me with bald, that was during that time. But I had shaved my head to mark the millennium. Just kind of, we weren't working. I didn't have any reason not to, and my hair was short and blonde then, and I just thought I'll just shave it off for the millennium and let it grow back and see where it goes. But then I got this job and thought the hair would work, or the lack of hair would work really well with the character. So I thought it was fun. But man, it's a tough job. I'll tell you, the Broadway is serious work. You know, it's eight shows a week, and it's hard stuff. I mean, I learned a lot from them about performing, about taking care of your body, about applying makeup, you know, every little thing I could learn, a lot of little tips. And these people definitely hard workers and still friends with many of them.
Joan, we got the flashing red light, so thank you very, very much.
Oh.
And thank you, great audience.
Thanks, you guys. It's not long enough.
Let's just do this before we lose it.